Towards Understanding with Clayton Bielen values being a positive radio program for everyone. As we present today's episode, please accept this little ears warning. Some of the themes discussed may not be suitable for children.
This is Towards Understanding. You're with Clayton Bielen, and it is wonderful to have in the studio with me today from thinkingofyou.org.au, Gloria Anderson, and she joins us to tell her story. Gloria, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to have you in. We often say that, we sometimes give a bit of a little ears warning to those, and we understand that the majority are adults who are listening. We're going to talk about some pretty heavy things today, things that no one should go through, but you have gone through. So just giving a little bit of that warning at the moment. It's important to tell these stories because there is hope and purpose and forgiveness that does come, which shines through God's goodness, but it is, the tough stuff that we go through as well. So before we even perhaps start telling your story, we do want to get back to talking about the organisation thinkingofyou.org.au, the website there, and the work that you are doing. So just really briefly, what is the purpose of that organisation?
So we distribute emergency care packs to mainly Sakasa hospital and hospitals and basically wherever, even DHS and women's shelter and different things. So wherever the need is. So we try to just step in and wherever there's a gap in the system, basically. Yeah,
it's wonderful. And what sort of things are in the care packs?
So we provide kind of two different kind of packs. So one's toiletries and then basic clothes. So it's for women, men, children, everybody. So and plus shoes and whatever they require. The hospital usually or the agencies tell us what they need, and then we just provide that. Yeah.
All right, let's tell a bit of your story because it's going to paint why you are passionate about that as well. Gloria, we're going to go back to a little while now and to a time where you thought you were in a safe environment, but you weren't. Could you paint some of the picture first before what occurred, and then we're going to tell a bit of that story?
This is about in 2011. I was part of a drop-in center. I'm still part of, actually. I'm still on the board of the organization, Cornerstone in Dandenong. And I was, I've been there, joined in 2006. So I was there till 2015, 16. So I was still working pretty much all through. And but during that time while I was there, we would often take a lot of people in, even sometimes boarders and stuff like that. So during my...
And sorry, was this people who were perhaps homeless, people who were refugees, didn't have a space, people who were just sort of in the middle?
Yep, mixed. Okay. So it was not necessarily everybody was homeless. It's sometimes just...
just where they needed a space.
So it was just filling in gaps basically. Gotcha. So it was not necessarily everybody was homeless. There were some people were. I remember the first homeless person we took in. I remember I didn't sleep that night. I was freaked out, and I'm going, what if something happens? We get robbed, all different scenarios. And I remember praying and just asking the question, if all of the above did happen, was I still ready to do that? And the answer was yes. And in 2011 July, one of the boarders who was staying in one of the granny flats at the back, he decided to, after 8 months of his stay, he decided to hold me hostage in my own home, and then later abduct me and take me to Yangin, New South Wales.
Wow. So, that was one sentence which carried a whole lot of...
Sorry.
No. Could you... I want to tell a bit of the story. So take us through that moment for you and what you're actually going through as these things happen. Here you are, there's somebody who's been there for 8 months. You think you know them. You've been providing a safe place for them. What does... in the initial moments when you realise, oh my goodness, this is turning to be the complete, I've become a hostage here. What does go through your mind? What are you thinking in those times?
Complete shock. Complete shock. Fear just sets in, obviously. And just wondering if I'll come out of this alive. So that was the biggest thing. And you are scared. And like, yeah, the process itself, I guess, was horrendous. So yeah.
So sorry, go on.
No, like because I was not only held hostage, I was tortured physically, brutally assaulted, and stuff like that. So there was like all the other stuff happening, and attack on my faith, questioning my faith, saying stuff like, "Oh, where is your God now?" I told you there's no God, because he knew faith was a huge part of my life, and even I took him to church once or twice, I think. I can't remember how many times, but. Yeah, so just saying, "Oh, where are your pastors? Look, there's nobody coming to help you. You're alone." And then I did have like a Peter moment where, while he was torturing, he's like, "Say that there is no God." And I remember going, okay, just like freaking out because of the pain. Yeah. But but even God redeemed that later on. So yeah.
I think most of us can't quite get our heads around it, right? In the sense that we go, okay, you're being tortured, you're going through this. So could you take us a bit on, like you said, you're held captive there in your own home and then taken as well. How long was this journey?
So this ordeal was about 3 days. Yeah. Started about Saturday night. I escaped Monday evening. So around 6ish, I think, because didn't have clocks and whatever. I wasn't paying attention, let's put it that way.
Yes,
I knew it was dark.
Yeah.
So there was about 3 days. It was in and out of the car boot, so it was my own car. Actually, he didn't have a car, so I was taken in my own car. And even in that whole process, I was just having a lot of conversation with God. Obviously you do, because what do you do when you're locked in and you're in confined space? Just thinking, what's next? Am I going to die? Yeah. And if I die, am I okay with that? I have 2 children. What will happen to my kids? Yeah. And because he was using kids as a threat as well, he said, "Oh, if you do anything, I know where your kids are. I will harm your kids." And he was saying, "I know a friend who knows. He doesn't care if his kids, women, children, he will torture them." And obviously, what I was going through, that was bad. And then just imagining what would happen to my children just freaked me out. So you just do, for the sake of kids in some ways, do whatever he was saying. Yeah. And so when I was traveling in the boot, he would again pull me in and out. I had a lot of Paul and Barnabas moments in if you know the Bible, the story where they were in prison, they were chained up, they started singing hymns, and the chains broke. I sang hymns, but boot didn't open. So that was a hope. Even prayed for like a Paul moment, when God spoke, and then suddenly had a whole transformation. Waiting for that to happen, didn't happen. But even in that midst of pain and I guess chaos and just seeing death, staring death at its face, there was a sense of peace also, which is amazing. And which is another thing which I find fascinating is during those darkest time, the songs that I sung were mainly the old hymns and the old choruses, from the southern gospel sort of songs, which was really affirming in some ways, and just gave peace that God was there. And then just there's a verse in the Bible from John 10:10, God comes to give life eternal. A thief comes to steal and destroy. Sorry, I'm going backwards, but the words. Yes. And just sensing that God is there, that He will bring life, and then just the assurance that if I come out, well, God better use it for His glory. Yeah. So that was my prayer as well. I do remember that very clearly. Right. Wow. Praying, saying, okay, I'm going through this, which is okay, whatever, I accept it. I mean, it's not nice, but I accept it. But don't let this go to waste. Yeah. Use it for your glory.
So you're here, you're being driven up, they're being tortured along the way.
Yes.
Is this what's happening? You don't have to say, is what it is. what does being tortured mean in that regards? Actually, like, is it you're being physically beaten? Like, what's the aspect? Yeah.
Physically tortured. I had needles through my body. I was whipped. I was punched. I was hit, slapped. All colors of the rainbow from neck down. He was very careful about that. Like he was very conscious about saying, "Oh, if you don't want injuries on the face, so people will see it, so you keep it." So he knew what he was doing, if that makes sense. Oh. So that was the torture part. Yeah. Yes.
Is there any? I mean, I'm assuming you asked this question where you're there, but in the midst of all of that, were you going, "Why is this happening?" Like, was that a question that you asked? Like, why is he doing this, and why is he doing this to me? Was that something you asked in that, or was it? It's pure survival mode, so you're not even asking that question.
Don't even have time to think about that. You're just thinking you stay alive. I think that's the last of the question.
Yes.
So I think so. I never asked why. I never questioned God even why is happening to me, because I think so. With my faith and my upbringing, I accept because of sin, things happen. People just do evil stuff. It's not necessarily God doing it, but it's just, people doing out of their own brokenness and sin. They just act out.
Yeah. So we're 3 days, or almost 3 days there. You've suddenly gone from where you are, and you've been kept in the boot, in and out, getting tortured. And suddenly you find yourself in a whole place that you have no idea where this is, but you do escape. Yeah. Where do you go? Yeah. And what happens then?
So it was interesting all through the way when he would pull me in and out. I would try to remember the places. So just being aware, like I think so. Everybody's watched CSI and all these crime shows, so you kind of go like, "What's next?" Sort of. Remember the place. So I was trying to be really alert and go, "Okay, that name, that name, that name." So just because he was really scared of getting caught, he was very conscious about it. So he pulled out he threw my phone out, and he took out the batteries from his phone, so getting scared of getting traced. He was avoiding highways and freeways, sort of. Yeah. So he was very conscious. So we're going through the back way all the way. So that's how we landed up in Young in New South Wales. So his initial, I guess, idea or thought was that he, because he freaked out after, things happened, he was like, "Okay, I've messed it up. This is on Saturday, actually. He said that, "Oh no, I've messed up. And then by Sunday, he's thinking escape plan. "Oh no, what do I do?" And so on Sunday, the plan when we first got in the car, his plan was he was going to go to Queensland, get on a boat and flee the country. And then, I don't know. Yeah. It was a plan. But, but he was going to drop me at the border of Victoria so I could make my way home. Right. And he was going to flee. Border came and left. Yeah. Nothing happened. And then I kept asking. I was like, Victorian border we've gone way past that. I'm like, what's happening? And he just kept quiet, didn't answer. And then, so we landed up in Young. And we were very early. I think so it was about 4 a.m., I think. So nothing was open. So we drove around the town a bit. He was a bit tired as well, I think, from driving all night. So we stopped at Young, then we went to some orchard somewhere. And before we went to the orchard, actually, we drove past a motel, and there was on the motel, the sign was like open at 7 a.m. or something. So he said, "Okay, we'll wait." And so so we drove to the orchard, we stayed there, waited there for I don't know how long, whatever time, and he was trying to tell his plan of what he's planning to do. And at that time, while we were on the orchard, actually, I looked straight in his eyes and I said, "I forgive you." That actually made him really angry. Right. Because what he was doing was all about control and and control over me, because like stuff while he was torturing, besides all the faith stuff, he was also saying, oh, you're nothing but a piece of meat, while he was hitting and stuff like that. So trying to destroy my soul in a way, but I think so by saying I forgive you, just all his 3 days of work had just gone out the window. So he was not too happy about that. He was really angry. And then he put me back in the boot, drove to the motel, booked the motel under false name, came back to the orchard, took me out of the boot. So he would do this back and forth, and then put me in the motel. And I think so he let me shower, which was amazing, and then take the needles out of my body. By the way, that was on me for like about 2 days. Almost infected and stuff. And then we had breakfast, I think, at Macca's or something. He brought over, which was surprising. He had food. And then I think so we slept for a bit. It was just exhausting couple of days anyway, so we just tired. I don't know. But even while we were sleeping, again, had my hand tied at the back. My legs were tied, and then he tied that, tied another rope, or sort of, I think so, his shirt or whatever, to my hand, to himself. So he was holding it under his arm, so like I wouldn't run away. So he was scared I would run, so he was like just holding me. And then around afternoon, he, the motel sort of suitcase wardrobes thingy, the really small, flimsy looking ones. So one of those. So he put me in there. Again, hands tied. This time tape over my mouth, and then but didn't have a lock. So he tied the handles together, and then he said, "Oh, I'm going to fill up the car," and then he disappeared. That was his second plan. After he had said he was going to drop me to Victoria, he was like, "Oh, I'll leave you at a motel and go." So like his plan kept changing. But I was there for roughly 4 hours. That's what I remember. Back in those days, the Deal No Deal.
Oh, yes.
That's how sort of you kind of know the timing. You know, you kind of gauge it. Like, I think. I still remember there was a couple who won $10,000. So it was like they went to UK or something for a holiday. So he had cranked up the television. So again, nobody could hear me. And I managed to fall asleep. But again, in that tied up moment, I had different stories going through through my mind about from the Bible, I remember reading, not reading actually, this lady did write a book, but her testimony, she spoke at our church. She was a lady held hostage by the Taliban. Right. They were aid workers, and I don't know, must be aware of the story, but I remember hearing that. And then because of the fear of running away and what will happen, and scared of everything else could happen to my kids, and all freaking out about all of that at the same time. And then anyway, so all this thing is again going through my mind, singing away while in the midst of it, praying away. Then later, after 4 hours or so, I had to go to the restroom, but being tied up, then I'm thinking, okay, God, what do I do now? I've got a little bit of dignity left. I'm not going to pee in my pants. That was my breaking point. I was like, I cannot. This is like, how yes, you have been stripped away. Yes, you have been tortured. I was like, I have a little bit of dignity left. And then I just started pushing the wardrobe with my legs, with my just leaning on the back of the wall and just pushing it, and eventually the door just came off the hinges and fell down. And I remember staring at the door going, oh, if he walks in now, I'm dead.
Yeah.
You know, he had already said, you know, consequences will be bad. So I'm already fearing the worst here. And I remember staring at the door, freaking out, going, oh no, if he comes, I'm dead. But at the same time, I do need to go to the toilet. So there's like mixed emotions flying there. But anyway, I managed to just run to the door. My hands are still tied at the back, and I had actually during this time managed to push the tape off my mouth, so it was still hanging on the side, but I just with my mouth just stretching it, just managed to loosen that up, and I ran straight to the reception. And you can imagine the look on the lady's face. Walk in, you know, with tape hanging on the side and my hands tied and going. I said, "Hi, I'm Gloria. You know, I've been abducted from Melbourne." And then just asking like, "How far am I from Melbourne?" Like I didn't know. And then trying to do small chat, trying to calm her down because I knew she was freaking out. So I'm like, oh, it's a really nice town. Just doing small chat. You could tell because she was just full panic. Yeah. And then obviously they called the police and all that stuff. And then, by the way, I still had to wait a long time before I went to the restroom because the police said no, just keep her as she is, because they need to obviously come and take photographs and video how they found me and stuff like that. So that was the escape.
All right, we're going to be back with more of Gloria's story in just a couple of minutes' time. As we said at the start, we have to tell some of the darker parts of this story to get to the light, but there is some light coming and some incredible work as well. Gloria Anderson is my guest here on Towards Understanding.
Thank you.
Share your brand, your event, your message across 90 Christian radio stations and major cities in Australia and New Zealand by sponsoring Towards Understanding, hosted by Clayton Bielen. More than 210,000 people tune into Towards Understanding each week, and with just one sponsorship, you'll reach this immense engaged audience. Find out more about this exciting and unique opportunity now on the sponsorship page at positivemedia.com.au.
Here you are, you're sort of, you've been escaped.
Yep.
But I'm imagining there's still a fear that you've been told, well, if something like this happens, my kids are in danger or whatever else it is. So how did you actually process through that time with the police, and then how it is to know, actually, I am safe and my family is safe?
Yeah, that was an interesting phase because I'm still, I'm thinking if he's still around and if he's managed to make that phone call to his friend, and because I still remember there was a envelope with the kid's address on it. So where they were staying at their dad's, so it had his address. So I was very scared. So I actually managed to slip that out on the way once we had stopped. And actually, police did find the envelope, which was amazing. Wow. They didn't find the content, which is all right, but they found it. It proved the story right, so which was amazing. I was surprised with that. But and anyway, so when after the police came, went to the hospital. Young was too small of a town to have a forensics expert. Yep. So obviously all my clothes went into evidence, photographed and all that. And
why are the clothes going into evidence?
Because it's part of the... because I was wearing those clothes for 3 days.
Gotcha. So there might be DNA material or something like that.
So they're just finding out.
Yep.
So... because it was such a really bad event, so there's all sorts of stuff, and then so they were debating where to take me next. So the options were Wagga or Canberra, because Young is right in the middle of those two. So they landed up taking me to Canberra. It was like 1 o'clock at night or something. I rocked up. I can't remember. It was really late. So the whole event, forensics took a while. And then detectives from Sydney came to Canberra to do the initial interview of what had happened, just so they can, if they find him, they can catch him.
Yep.
As you know, and they can arrest him and all that sort of stuff, because they need to. So they did that initial interview in the hospital. But during that time, by the way, all for 3 days, I didn't have any shoes on. Right. So this is middle of July. By the way, I've escaped on 4th of July, American Independence Day. And I didn't have any shoes, so like all through I was walking on frost and ice and all that, bare feet. So I actually requested the doctor asking, can I please have socks, shoes, something, slippers, I don't care what, just I'm cold. And she ran and she found a pair of socks and she could not find shoes, so she gave me a Ziploc bag and a rubber band to hold a Ziploc bag up as shoes. So I wore that for a day or two, I think, until I actually had to ask the police saying, can you give me some money to buy some clothes?
Yes.
Like, even the fact that I had to ask the police to give me some clothes, that was pretty bad. And I did they did give me some clothes in Young, but it was just really, there's secondhand and there's 5 levels down secondhand. They're like ratties at secondhands. I mean, they did the best. I'm not. No.
But this is the situation that's in.
Yeah. And so that was pretty. So I was just feeling really awful by this time, and just feeling, bad clothes and everything, just didn't really feel good. So, and then on the way back from Canberra, the police, obviously there was a conversation in the police car and stuff, so then he said, they found him, so they caught him. So he crashed my car somewhere in Lithgow, and apparently he was vomiting blood and stuff, which that was a relief. So that was like, okay, fine. So it was about 2 hours from Young, I think. So that sort of gave me a go, like, okay, they have him. So that was settled that fear, I guess.
And did you know your kids were safe as well by then? I'm assuming you had a chance to talk to them? And
No. And because it was a 3-day event, so kids were actually supposed to come to my place on Sunday evenings. I usually took them to church Sunday evenings. And obviously my ex had come home and, he saw I wasn't there. So he was like, oh, that's really odd. And then he obviously was trying to make phone calls. I wasn't answering my phone.
Yes, of course.
Freaking out. But then you have to wait 24 hours before you file a missing person report. And so Monday evening, he actually called the police station saying, Gloria Anderson, she's missing. And he mentioned my name, and he's like, and the police goes, oh, and literally said, can I call you back in 5, and hung up. And he's like, that was really odd. It's just like, you don't, so what had happened, actually, by this time, my house was actually a crime scene.
Gotcha.
So they were already there. And they called him back straight away and confirmed the names, because I didn't remember.
That's right. Yes, of course. Yeah.
And then and then they told him, it was like, oh, we found she's in Young, and obviously explained what had happened. So he had no idea. He was freaking out. So I didn't get to talk to my kids then, but a couple of days later. So after things are sort of settled,
there's so many questions I have. I want to make sure we finish with thinking of you and the work that you're doing there. But firstly, the justice for this man, what happened to him?
So I did it. because the incident took place in 2 states,
Yes.
because of our laws, I had to go through 2 trials.
Wow.
One in Sydney in 2013 and 2018 in Melbourne.
Yes.
So that took about 7.5 years.
Yeah.
With the help of Mark Dreyfus, actually, he intervened.
Oh, yes.
Otherwise, initially they had said it would have taken 11 years because he was sentenced for 11 years in Sydney. So
Right.
he had to finish his sentence
there.
up in Sydney, then get extradited to Melbourne.
Wow.
But that's where I went to Mark Dreyfus, that time Attorney General, and requested. He wasn't Attorney General, he was Shadow. But anyway, he managed to pull some strings
Yes.
and extradite him much earlier. And then in 2020, he passed away of leukemia.
Okay. All right.
So the last trial was in December 2018.
Okay.
So yeah, so the reason actually I had gone initially to Mark Dreyfus was to just say the system was unjust. The fact that I had to go through 2 trials, which was
Yes.
so unfair. It's
course.
like a good chunk of my life. Like
Yes.
7.5 years is a long
Yes.
time, and let alone just recovering from the trauma.
That's
so
right.
I just, in my sense, it's just even
Yeah.
being a Christian, just sensing like I think it was just wrong.
Yeah.
So I've been.
I don't think anyone's going to argue with you.
Yeah, I hope
No.
not. So I'm advocating for change. Hopefully somebody listens, somebody knows, so we can
Yeah.
push for this change. I just don't think, okay, fine, I went through it, but I don't think somebody else should suffer
Yeah.
through this same thing. And the other thing is obviously out of this, as I said about my story about, wearing plastic bag for shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was not long after the trial. I had taken a sabbatical, bit of a break, trying to recover, heal,
Yes.
process.
Of course.
And actually, I fasted. It was for 3 days, and then after 5 days, I didn't know what I was fasting, but it just felt like I should fast. I'm like, oh, okay. And 5 days into it afterwards, one day I was driving with a friend to the beach, and I just remembered this whole story of not having proper clothes or shoes. And I was like, I wonder how many people go through this. So I called up Monash and I said, I'm thinking of donating some items to you guys. Are you interested? And Monash goes, how many? And I'm like, how many do you need? And this gentleman says, I'll take whatever you have. And I'm like, 200, 100. I'm like, goodness. So before I knew, I had accidentally started a charity.
And so the charity is about it's really dignity providing, right? And it's coming through those care packages that we talked about at the start, with clothes and with these aspects. Because I would imagine that those like yourself who've gone through the worst situations of there's no fault of their own making here. Or those who may have been raped or whatever, and all the clothes do have to go. Like you said, they have to go as evidence. That's the one time you need the most dignity. And yet it's seeming like, and again, it's just the system, but there's such little dignity. So I'm imagining you're seeing a lot of people being very, especially in post, I suppose, looking back at it and saying, thank you so much for providing that for me.
Yeah, it is. And also, there's plenty of help outside after you leave the system. There's Salvos, Vinnies, there's 5 million charities around, but there's a gap. Obviously, is a crucial sort of missing. So just trying to fill in the gap and just step in. And yes, we've also provided. I remember Launch Housing had actually asked. There was a mother of 6 living in a hatchback, and then just. It was winter, so we managed to provide some blankets, and which Cornerstone had, so I took from there. So a combination of different, just arranging. So just we don't realize things we take for granted. Like mother of 6 children living in a hatchback. You just try to picture that one. That was painful just to hear the story and just going to school every day from that. So so just giving hope. It's not a big thing, just
At the moment when it's most, thing that is needed, something very practical that can be done. Are you needing help with that? Like, what can people do as they've heard this? How can I be a part of that? How does it work from that?
You can always donate and go through our website, thinkingofyou.org.au.
And are you looking for, like, is this new clothes that people are giving? Is it because, I imagine people thinking, well, I'll give my fifth rags, but we're not talking that.
Yeah. So, mainly because of the hospital has requested new clothes, so I can't take second hand. It has to be brand new. Bonds actually have stepped in. They do provide some items, not everything. I am struggling to get donation of toiletries, but not big toiletries. You want, because it's an emergency situation, so travel size stuff. I'm not saying 1 liter of shampoo.
Yes, gotcha. It's the little ones. It's a little bit of toothpaste. It's the toothbrush.
Till they get to the next destinations.
Yes,
just so material aid, obviously financially as well. You can volunteer. We do have working bees. So we make packages. Our last delivery we delivered 236 packs, I think. Wonderful. If I got the numbers right. To Monash Health, to Sakaza, and then and obviously the advocating side of it as well.
Yes.
So if people know, we can talk to ministers or whatever and get this ball moving.
thinkingofyou.org.au. That's the website to head to. thinkingofyou.org.au. I want to ask a final question as well. You tell your story, and you tell your story, and you're smiling still, and I would imagine that, not imagine, you have every right to be completely in despair and to be, this should never have happened, and it's still impacting you even all these years later. I suppose I want to say, how do you tell your story? Without having to relive it, because I imagine it always is a little cost of telling it. And then how do you trust again? I suppose there's two things. I only just reflected on it afterwards that, here you are, you're sitting with, we only met face to face for the first time today. Here you are, you're sitting in a room with a guy who you've never really met before, and we've shut the door, and maybe that was, I didn't even think about that, and I'm sorry that I perhaps didn't talk to you about that. Like how do you balance that out to even tell a story again and not have to it cost you something, but also how do you start trusting and living that? You talked about you forgave even in the moment, and it's part of your faith, but how does that actually happen?
That's a very interesting question. It does affect me, obviously. There was a period of time whenever I did share my story, I would get really sick. I do have a wonderful psychologist. I work with her very hard. Full tears, pain, tantrums and all. So it's because it's resisting change. So change is painful. And comfort zone is also just taking the step out, which is fascinating. So every anniversary I try to do something that reminds me of the incident. So I'll push myself. So this anniversary, just before the anniversary, actually, I found the make and model of the car because I hadn't seen the car. It was written off. And so I found the car, same make and model, at the wreckers. I went there, sat in the car, went into the boot, sat in the boot.
Wow.
So just, I pushed myself. It's horrible. I'm a mess for the next week or two. Like, I remember a few days later, I saw a friend, she goes, "You're not all there." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not all here." So it does take a toll.
And why are you doing that? Like, why actually put yourself there on purpose? Because many might say, actually, on that day, do something completely opposite because that's the thing. So why?
To heal.
Yeah. Okay.
To heal, to push. So the reason I did that, because usually I would see the same make and model on the road, I would get triggered.
Gotcha.
So nowadays we use the word trigger is very common word. It's triggering and we run away.
It's a bit overused.
Yeah. So to me, it's triggering is like, why is it triggering? So I actually run into the trigger and actually resolve the issue.
Okay, so it's not going to do that next time.
That's one. And I will come back again. Faith is a huge part, and just understanding whatever happened, that was not God's fault. And it was the person's fault. But, you know, I prayed for him till the day he died, because...
And what were you praying for him?
His salvation.
Yeah.
So he'll know Jesus. Because Jesus loves him as much as he loves me.
Yeah.
He died for him as much as he died for me. Who am I to judge him?
Yeah. That's a big statement, like right there. I mean, I get it and I understand it, but it's big. So for you to say that is quite remarkable.
I remember when I was at Sydney Court, I had that just before the trial happened. I felt like God reminded me of the sinner on the cross. There was like, I just had that moment. I'm like, what would you do? I just had that question, like, what would you do? What does forgiveness look like in this situation?
Wow.
And just the redemption and telling the story is not just for me. It's telling the story if somebody else is encouraged. Like, I think so I mentioned this, I brought a scarf over.
Yes.
This scarf was given to me by a friend in the States. It's hand woven by women who were trafficked in India. And actually, Darren used the same scarf to tie me up. So I was adamant when the trial finished. I asked the detectives, I'm like, can I please have some of my stuff back? Because I want it back. It's like, I didn't want their story to die.
Yeah, wow.
With, just throw it away, just trash. But it's the story to live on, and so is my stories.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm good or better, or I still get angry. I still get, but it's just try to do my best.
Yeah, yeah. Gloria, you are remarkable in the fact that you are actually living out the faith that you profess.
Thank you.
And I think it's one of those moments where often, and the majority of people who are listening have never gone through something you've gone through, and that's awesome that they haven't done that.
Yes.
But perhaps even if someone who is of faith, that they're maybe not living that out, the true essence of what it means to forgive, of what it means to say, I'm going to own this aspect and not let somebody else take the ownership of this moment. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for the cost that I know it has, even to tell it, and that's not something we take for granted either. Once again, thinkingofyou.org.au is a way that you can be a part of helping those who might go through the worst of the worst in that regards too.
You can also follow us on socials as Thinking of You Packages. And thank you for having me. It was lovely.
Gloria Anderson, my guest here on Towards Understanding.